On this week's episode, let's make a deal. The writer's strike could soon be coming to an end. Ads are coming to Amazon Prime Video, but you can avoid them for a price. A movie review of a graphic novel turned movie, and Barbie bloopers. This is The Hub on Hollywood. I'm James.
I'm Depression Barbie. I mean Jamie. Let's get going.
Let's go. All right, Jamie, welcome back to another episode of The Hub on Hollywood.
This one's a little bit different in case you can't see us, or if you can, you will know why it is a little bit different. It's like, James, is that you?
This is me. We're actually in person.
Oh my gosh, I can actually
we can actually touch each other.
Yeah. Hi, good to see you.
Good seeing you in person. I know it's been a while. I think, COVID, that really changed the game for our podcast.
Yeah, and you know what? Our podcast was just a baby at that time.
Yeah.
Like, we were just getting started.
I like going back every now and then to like the first podcast and just seeing baby Jamie, baby James, and us, launching the podcast.
Yeah, because we were so bright-eyed and chipper.
Yeah.
Now we're just all dark and jaded.
We know the real pain that the world can bring us.
No, but we're still having fun. We're still having so much fun here on the Hub on Hollywood, bringing people the reviews, the movie pitches and ideas that only our inspired brains can bring.
They will become a reality, I think, soon.
And the latest on movies that are made here in New England and what's going on with the strike, because we all want to get back to work.
Yeah.
And this is a beautiful set.
Right? Like, we're moving on up.
Moving on up.
No, in all transparency, we are here at the iHeartRadio building, and so we have the space that we are allowed to use, and so this is fantastic. And again, I love being in person again. So tune in for more episodes where we have more face-to-face interactions.
Yeah, we get to make fun of each other to each other's faces.
And speaking about more face-to-face interactions, I understand that the Writers Guild of America and producers are meeting face-to-face again to hopefully strike a deal.
Exactly. So this is the latest round of negotiations, 5 months into the writers' strike. And the AMPTP, the producers, have put forward what they call their best and final offer. My first reaction to that, James, is it might be their final offer, but it's certainly not their best, considering what the independent studios have been able to agree to, which is everything, the entire, all of the dream asks of the Writers Guild of America. But we'll see what happens from here. So they are, the Writers Guild is reviewing, this best and final offer as we speak. At this moment, right now, at the time of this recording, they are reviewing that final offer. They can either accept it, and then it would go to their membership, they would have to vote on it, and we would see where it would go from there, or they can just flat out reject it again, James. And if that happens, we could not, it's very likely that we would not have a deal for the rest of this year.
It's crazy that it's already been 5 months. It feels like a long time, and it feels like a very short amount of time. So saying that they've been on strike for 5 months, that's incredible. But by the time you see this episode, listen to this episode, a deal may have been struck. But as you mentioned, this may not be the best deal just because there has to be that compromise between both groups. And so everybody's not going to be happy with the final product, the final deal, final results. But if it's good enough for the writers, then that's all we can ask for at this time.
At this time, and people need to get to work after nearly 6 months out of work. Not just the writers, but everyone else associated with filmmaking. It's tough. It's been really financially hard on a lot of people. Heaven forbid we are forced to get real boring jobs, James. And whatever happens with the writers, will no doubt be reflected in what happens with the writers' negotiations and their strike as
the actors,
well. Right, the actors, sorry. The writers will affect the writers. No, the writers will affect what happens with the actors and SAG-AFTRA after that. So here's hoping that we get close to something that is will allow people to have a livable profession, that we will be able to have a future in filmmaking. and get back to work and start making movies, because if they don't reach this, Jill James, people are going to really start noticing, because it's going to impact what kind of content is available in the coming year. And if there's nothing in the movies and there's nothing for people to watch new on the streaming services, it is just going to be a cascade. Like, how would you feel about that scenario? You love movies.
I would not like that.
Right?
Yeah, no, that's the worst case scenario for everybody. And so I'm really glad that we are seeing signs of progress. Hopefully, both sides, again, for the most part, the studios, the producers have been getting everything they've wanted for the past several years, and so I think it's time for there to be a new playing field, a fair playing field for everybody.
A livable playing field.
A livable playing field
is what they're working for. So
yeah,
stay with the Hub on Hollywood. Follow us on the social medias. We are on X, right?
On Twitter. We are on Twitter. We're not on X. We're on Twitter.
Exactly, on Instagram and Facebook
and TikTok.
And whenever there is an update, we will have that there for you. Because this is where it's at.
This is where it's at
here on the Hub on Hollywood. You know where else it's at?
Where is it at?
Your couch. Did you know that Barbie is out on the streaming right now?
Barbie is out on the streaming.
Yeah.
Now, where are you watching it though? Because this next question depends. Where are you streaming Barbie?
So I'm watching it on Prime Video. We paid for it.
Okay. Well, it's a good thing. Well,
before
we talk about Barbie, really quick, we had to talk about Prime Video.
Yes.
So thank you for bringing that up, because starting next year, Amazon announced that it is going to start introducing ads for all their movies and all their TV shows. Currently, there are many movies that are, included for free, quote unquote, through membership on Prime. And there are some that are ad based as well, but you have a really, I would say maybe 80, 20, 70, 30, ratio of things that are with the membership being free, ad-free. However, they say starting next year, we're going to be seeing ads intermittently spaced out in movies or TV shows, unless on top of that Amazon Prime membership fee that you already pay, you pay an extra $3 a month to avoid the ads. It's I know we're saying that the writers and the actors are struggling to make ends meet, but think about Amazon Prime and these major studios who are barely getting by. They of course need this extra $3 a month, right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to cut into their billions and billions in revenues and profits.
Think of Jeff Bezos.
It's just totally unfair.
He needs more.
Who was it? There was one of these, the heads of one of these studios recently, who said that people are not paying a fair price for their services. Gosh, I gotta look it up. Because I know everybody, especially when COVID hit, Disney especially, they went all in on their streaming service, Disney Plus, throwing a lot of money into it. And they found out, among all the other streaming services, found out that the revenue isn't really there. The money really isn't there, because after a while you get only so many subscribers, then you kind of plateau for a while, and then you're spending so much money into these new projects that they're realizing, oh, you know what, maybe going so, head first into the streaming world, that was counterintuitive to the movies that we are releasing. And so they're finding out that, they're not paying, it's not paying as well as they were hoping for. Is that along the lines of what you were thinking or saying? Well, this was the Warner Brothers Discovery CEO who came out and saying that people have not been paying a fair price for streaming services, and that they are in the process of being corrected. That these prices are in the process of being corrected. So I think that people can expect to be those rates to be going up across the board, little by little. They're sneaking in those ads. You're paying for services within services within services. So if you've noticed, especially like on Peacock and a few of these others, it's like, okay, I signed up for Peacock, I'm paying my monthly fee, whatever. I want to watch Parks and Recreation. Oh wait, you can't. You have to pay extra for that content or extra for this content within the content that you're already paying for. And I don't know, James, I don't know about you, but I think at some point there's a breaking point where people are going to be like, screw it, I'm not doing this anymore, and they're going to go somewhere else.
I'm on the cusp right now of canceling my Netflix because my wife and I, we were talking about it yesterday, and we really only watch maybe one or two things, what it feels like, one or two things or movies a month on Netflix, because we also have HBO Max, we have Amazon Prime, we had Hulu, we have Disney Plus, but we're sharing that from my mom's account, so thank you, Mom. But back in the day when Hulu was like the new streamer on the block, and they had membership fees, and you also had to pay. So they ran ads on Hulu, but you still had to pay a membership. And I was that from the very get-go, I was like, I'm not going to get Hulu because, like at the time, if you're paying for Netflix, you don't get ads. That's what you pay for. If you are getting ads, I don't want to pay for this because you're double dipping in that money. So Hulu, from the very beginning, I was against it, and I still don't have a Hulu account, mainly based on that initial, that bad taste in my mouth of why am I paying double? I want to pay for no ads. And so now you're seeing Amazon Prime, you're seeing all these other streaming services either raking or cranking up their price and or throwing in, you can go ad free for a couple of $3 extra a month. It's insane. It's insane. I'm over it. So
it's BS.
Netflix may be on the chopping block very soon.
Yeah, and I think people have been saying that for a while, that Netflix is reaching that point, that threshold where people are going to be like, screw it, I don't need this.
Right.
Like, I can go to other services that are entirely free. This is what pisses me off, okay? Just be upfront.
Yeah.
And then you got to stick to your model.
Yeah.
Okay? If you get a service like Hulu, like Freevee, where they tell you, look, I like Freevee because they've got a ton of content, but you know that they have ads.
Yeah.
They're upfront about it. You know what to expect, and you move forward that way. But when you start changing things up, and it's like, oh, this was free, but now everything's being locked away, and now you've got to pay this, and now you've got to pay that, and they want theirs. They're always going to get theirs, right? There's no way that they're not going to grow exponentially each and every year. And at some point, it just doesn't work anymore. And that's when things transform. That's when technology transforms. That's when people, they start. Do you remember MP3s? Like when MP3s came out and all of that. So if people will find it somewhere else.
Yeah.
People will find their content somewhere else.
People are now saying they're searching the high seas in a way of
They're
saying that sailing the high seas because
with Luffy, right?
With Luffy.
The pirates on One Piece.
Exactly, which we will get to later on this episode. But people are saying that when streaming services were convenient, when the prices weren't outrageous, and you had good options of what to watch, people stopped pirating movies and TV shows, and they went with the straight and narrow route. Now we're seeing everybody changing the model, changing the format so drastically, and so dishonestly that people are going back sailing the high seas again. So
exactly.
I'm
right, because it's becoming like cable again.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's crazy.
So it's like, what's the point?
What's
the point? So something is going to change because the audience is going to move. And they're gonna lose out in the end. So when you have a business, it should be customer focused, right?
It should be.
But ultimately, it ends up being bottom line. It ends up being exponentially packing the pockets with as much money as possible, and then that doesn't last forever.
No.
It doesn't last forever.
So right now, for myself in Casa de Rojas, Netflix is on the chopping block, where it's right on the edge, on the verge of getting cut. So let me know what your thoughts are. Are you thinking about reeling back any of the subscriptions you are signed up for? What are your thoughts on this this $3 surcharge to go ad free on Amazon Prime?
And which one is the first on the chopping block for you? Which of the streaming services are you ready to give the boot first?
Yeah.
For us, it's the Peacock. Peacock's got to go.
I've tried Peacock. I think when it was free. Do you have to pay for it now?
I think so.
I think when it first rolled out, it was free with ads, maybe, and then there just wasn't enough content on there that I was really interested in.
We pay for it.
All right, so I never hopped on that bird, but but yeah, that's one. Again, I never got into Hulu just because right off the bat, I'm like, why am I paying and still getting ads? Listen, is BS.
Peacocks are big enough. You can ride them. I don't know if you've seen one.
Are they? I think you're thinking of an ostrich.
No. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe because I'm so small; they just look big. That's neither here nor there, James.
Well, let's talk, continuing about Amazon Prime. One thing that hopefully you won't have to deal with because you purchased it, you don't have to deal with ads, you purchased Barbie.
Yes.
So when did it hit like streaming services?
Very recently.
Because it's still in theaters, I think.
Yeah, it is. It is still in theaters in some places.
On IMAX. It is,
right.
yeah.
And so it is now available on Amazon Prime. And my son is absolutely obsessed with the Barbie movie. He's 8 years old, and he was destroying our house yesterday, let's just be honest. He came up with a brand new sound, which its frequency would shatter your computer screens.
Oh, God.
So I'm not going to try to replicate it. So him and my daughter were running around the house shrieking, destroying. And our compromise was, look, we will pay $30 for this movie if you will just sit down and watch this movie.
Yeah.
So that's what ended up happening. And James, having to watch Barbie ad nauseum in our living room at home, I was able to pick up on a number of things that I did not notice in the movie theater.
So how many times so far have you watched it, rewatched it?
Rewatched it at home about 3.
About 3 times,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And in that time frame, you've
Exactly.
notice some bloopers, some secrets.
So some bloopers, some secrets, some things that maybe people had missed out on before. So without further ado, James, let's go ahead and talk about some of the things that you might have missed in the Barbie movie.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying go out and spend $30.
It was $30?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was $30. But it was worth it after what happened in my house yesterday.
Okay, I don't want to go on a long tangent, but one thing that because I've bought Paddington and Paddington 2 on Amazon Prime, so I can watch it wherever. And if they ever took it away, I have it there at least. But one thing I'm afraid of buying digital copies of movies or TV shows is like kind of with iTunes. I bought a bunch of songs back in the day, and then my account got lost or whatever, and all those songs are gone. And theoretically, iTunes could pull all those MP3s from their service, and so like you don't have the physical copy. So now I'm like leaning more into the idea of going back to physical, discs and everything like that. So I'm sorry. So go ahead. So Barbie, $30.
Yeah, no, $30.
Totally worth it.
But what's great is wherever you have that account, right, you can watch it, unless they pull it off the streaming service.
Yeah.
But for a movie like this, it's highly unlikely that they'll do that.
Right.
But I do like the idea of having the physical discs as well. In DVDs, and if you're watching on YouTube, I have this gigantic freaking laptop set up in front of me.
I thought this was the door in the movie Titanic where Rose was clinging onto for dear life. I'm
Look,
I'm pretty sure Jack could have also fit on this.
Shut up.
I'm kidding.
Look, if the lobby, right, if the iHeartRadio lobby flooded right now, you and I would be set.
Yeah.
Because I brought in this laptop today, and it's as big as it is because it has a CD drive and a DVD drive, and I'm very stubborn, and when I went to go buy a computer, they're like, oh, CDs are obsolete. I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I went out of my way to make sure that I got a computer with a DVD drive, but the result was that it is, it's a behemoth.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But look who's laughing now.
Ha ha ha. Exactly. But you know who else was laughing?
Okay.
That you might not have noticed? The character Sasha in Barbie.
Okay.
Right? So Sasha is the daughter of the woman who works at Mattel, and she's the one that Barbie first encounters, right? And she's loosely based off of the Bratz dolls.
Yes, I've heard that,
right?
yeah.
With the name Sasha and her 3 friends, and she's got, the attitude about her, calls Barbie a fascist, whatever, so she's a moody little teenager. But she does not maintain this facade, James, throughout the entirety of the movie. It's a blink and you miss it sort of moment. But do you remember when Ken is throwing her clothing, throwing Barbie's clothing
from the dream house.
From the dream house, from the Mojo Dojo Casa House, which my son now wants as well.
Excellent.
So he's shrieking, he's crying, he's throwing the clothing, he's like, here's your pretty palazzo plants and all of this. And if you look closely, you will see Margot Robbie, right, is totally distraught. America Ferrera is doing her bit, but the actress playing Sasha is just completely losing her composure.
Nice.
And multiple scenes, you can see her smiling, laughing, trying to hold back her laughter. So that was one of the first things that...
See, that's a pretty Bratz move, though, right? Maybe that's in
Is it?
character. She's laughing at someone else's misery.
I guess it could be.
Could be, but most likely a
But,
blooper.
just being in the movie, I can imagine it was very hard for a lot of people to keep their composure in several of these scenes. One of which Margot was mentioning when Ken is singing his "I wanna push you."
Yeah.
Yeah, I will. Right? She was talking about how that was one of the scenes where it was the hardest for her to kind of keep her composure. And in that scene, right, she's got this plan. They're going to turn all the Kens against her. She's supposed to like not be enjoying it.
Yeah.
But she said that was like one of the dream sequences of the film, like one of her favorite moments of all time.
Yeah.
Because she was sitting there being serenaded by Ryan Gosling, and she could not hide. So she just admitted that she was enjoying every second of that.
Okay.
As I feel like all women would have been.
Okay.
So, but from the laughing to the crying, this is another one that I caught that maybe some people didn't. Now Margot Robbie, not American.
Right, Australian. Crikey, mate.
Exactly. Not right. So she has an American accent in the movie,
right,
which she does a phenomenal job of.
Except
the part where she's crying, right? And she's emotional and she's in Weird Barbie's house and she's talking about, I'm not pretty, I'm not smart, except it came out as, I'm not smart. Right?
Yeah.
So if you listen carefully to that scene in that part where she's crying in Australian.
She's like, I'm not pretty, I'm not smart, I'm not a bloomin' onion.
Exactly.
So if you notice, if you listen very carefully, you hear bloomin' onion also.
Oh, I didn't miss. I missed that one.
Watch it for the fourth time.
Yeah, I have to watch it again when I get home, which I'm sure I will. Not a blooming onion. Oh, Margot. But just so many parts of this movie were just so smart and well done.
Yeah.
And I like how when she's saying, I'm not pretty, I'm not beautiful, the narrator comes in and is like, Margot Robbie's not the person to cast if you're trying to make this point. So actually, the last point here, James, so I don't know if this was the intention of the filmmaker, of the director, but a content creator called Ivan Mars spotted this, and I thought it was really interesting. I'm going to send you the TikTok.
Okay.
But there are a few scenes in the movie Barbie that exactly mirror shots from the Harley Quinn movies, which Margot Robbie also starred in.
Like Birds of Prey or one of the other Justice League stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Of several of the movies where she was Harley Quinn.
Okay.
And I will send this to you, and maybe we can play a shot of it, maybe or not. Well, it depends on the level of technology that we have available to us in the Hub in Hollywood. But so the beginning of the movie, where Barbie is dressed as the original Barbie, and they're doing the Odyssey. What was it? The 2000.
Oh yeah, 2000 Space. Yeah.
At the beginning, there's a close-up of her face with the sunglasses where she tilts her head down, she tilts down the sunglasses, and she winks. And there's an exact scene of that when she is dressed as Harley Quinn where she pulls her sunglasses down and she winks like that, and it's framed exactly the same way. There's another one where the dance that they do in Barbie Land, right, and there's a scene where they lift her up with both arms spread out like this. There's another scene like that where Harley Quinn is in a pink jumpsuit and she's lifted up in that exact same way. And what was the other one? So, and then the part where she is arrested, where Barbie's arrested and she's holding up that nameplate. Exact same framing scene where Harley Quinn is arrested and she's holding up a nameplate, albeit she looks a little bit more, more distraught and distressed in the Harley Quinn version, but same framing, same. So it's just interesting. I'm not sure if it's an exact nod to that, but it is frame for frame, like frame by frame, like exactly similar to the Harley Quinn.
So
version.
clearly, Greta Gerwig,
Greta.
fan of the Harley Quinn
Fan of Margot
character,
Robbie.
Margot Robbie.
Exactly. So is there anything else that you guys noticed that we didn't? Are you going to go watch Barbie on the streaming services right now? Are you going to be pushed to the brink to pay $30 to watch it now? Or wait for it to be free later on? I feel like you have to kind of be in a desperate, kind of situation to pay those rates up front when it first hits.
Yeah. I wouldn't call you desperate. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I was desperate
to watch it.
but I mean, I guess some people would pay that amount for when it first comes out on streaming. I don't know. Where do you fall on
I mean,
that?
I think if you're afraid that Amazon or whatever streaming service, what have you, will eventually pull it, then I think it's a smart move to have it. Because there are times where before I purchased Paddington, which, again, masterpiece, Paddington 2, The Empire Strikes Back of the Paddington universe. When I tried watching that one time, it was gone. And so dang it. So the next time it popped up on Amazon Prime again, I'm like, I'm gonna buy it just so I don't lose it ever again.
Yeah.
Because I need that movie in my rotation to keep me sane. So in that regard, I think it's smart to buy it. Again, physical copy, I think that's gonna be the new, the new go-to move for a lot of people.
Listen, you know what makes a lot of these movies worth it too, and what makes them so real and tangible and relatable and lovable is that there are these unscripted moments, like these just pure moments of creativity that embody these characters and make them jump off of the screen. And there were a couple of those in Barbie as well, where Ken puts on the double sunglasses. Nobody was expecting that. He just did that on his own. They kept that in. It was Ken was also Ryan Gosling when he yells "Sublime," right?
Yeah.
All of these little moments that kind of just add that extra oomph to a character. Oh my gosh, there were these two Kens in the background during the Ken battle that were just straight up dancing a tango that I didn't notice before. But that sort of leads us into our next little bit here, James. What were some of the unscripted moments that ended up in the final cut of a movie that were just the best, that were just so incredible, so amazing, that made these movies iconic, elevated them to the next level?
I want to call this segment Falling with Style. Because, in Toy Story, they're like, that's not flying, that's falling with style.
Yeah.
And so I want to call this segment Falling with Style.
All right. Kick us off.
All right. So the first Falling with Style, I'm ranking this 3, 2, 1. So number 1 would be the best one. But I love everything in that scene with in The 40-Year-Old Virgin with Steve Carell, Paul Rudd, Seth Rogen, and Romani Malco, the 4 best friends. That scene where Steve Carell is getting his chest waxed, that's all real. Like he had a carpet on his chest, and they legit waxed it, and they ripped it, and they couldn't do any retakes. And so everything that is said by Steve Carell is all ad-libbed. His reaction to the pain is all real. The reaction from Paul Rudd, Seth Rogen, and Romani, all real too. At some point you see them like, oh my God, I can't keep looking at this. And so that, I will say, all those funny quips and lines and reactions, totally unplanned, improvised on the spot. And again, I think Steve Carell wasn't expecting it to hurt that much. And so I would say his honest reactions to that lands it in my top 3.
That I did not know that was real.
Yeah. That's insane.
But I do know that he is an extraordinarily hairy man.
Very hairy.
Oh,
he was a very hairy man. He probably is. It's going back by now, I'm sure. But
that's commitment.
That's commitment.
Yeah, that really is a commitment.
And they stopped after 3 or 4 strips, so they had so they called him a mano lantern. Paul Rudd improvised that also. He looked like a mano lantern because they just stopped with what looked like 2 eyes because of bare chest, and across his belly where they also ripped the hair from. So it looks like just this hairy mano lantern. That is the best way to describe it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so that's so funny because Paul Rudd is on my list as well.
Oh, excellent.
But for a different improvised scene. So this one was from Ant-Man 2, and it was Paul Rudd and Randall Park Randall Park being the authority figure, and Paul Rudd Paul Rudd's Ant-Man was on house arrest, and he's like, I better not see you leave, or and Paul Rudd's like, well, I'll see you later. And Randall Park's like, really? Like, dude, right? And they just started having this beautiful back and forth. It's like, you want to get drinks later? You want to actually hang out? And all of that totally improvised, and they kept it in the movie, and it was just so hilarious. And it adds so much depth to these characters. It just makes you just love them and smile so hard. So Paul Rudd apparently really great improviser.
He's a great improviser. I love him. Randall Park, I love that guy also. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
But Paul Rudd is also in All-American Summer, Wet Hot American Summer, and that was basically much of it was also improvised. And so if you're a big Paul Rudd fan, Baby Paul Rudd, check out that movie. But
Baby Paul Rudd. He looks the same. He's a vampire.
He looks the same. Vampire Paul Rudd. Number 2 in my list of falling with style is literally. This actor literally fell with style. Jamie Lee Curtis in True Lies, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's that famous scene where the character has to act as a spy and seduce this unknown person who is Arnold, her husband in the film, but she doesn't know this, and she has to perform this sexy dance. And there's a part where she's dancing on a bedpost. And as she lunges back, she legit slips, falls down. And as she falls down, you can see Arnold in the background kind of get up, like, oh, he's about to get up, but then he sits back down because Jamie Lee Curtis, she pops right back up, right into, without skipping a beat, back into it. And it's one of the most, the scene is so tense. And then when that happens, you just start, laughing, and you feel that relief again. But, Jamie Lee Curtis, she slipped, but she went back right to it, and it fits so well with the character that they kept it in. So that's my number 2.
Okay, all right, that is a very good pick. But mine, this was a stunt of epic proportions, and it was another one of those where we've only got one take.
Right.
We've only got one opportunity to get this right, and this was in The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger's Joker when they were blowing up the hospital.
Okay.
Right? So the explosions start happening. He's walking away from the explosion with the detonator in his hand, and then the explosions stop. Right? Something had gone wrong. It wasn't timed correctly, right? So the final explosion was delayed. And instead of breaking character, instead of being like, what the heck, Heath Ledger staying in character as the Joker starts playing with his detonator, trying to get it to work, and then the final explosion happens and they finish the scene. So I just thought that was so brilliant. That he is such a pro, that he stayed in character as long as he could until that stunt finished, and it just gives it that extra texture. And right, you only get one take. We're only blowing up this hospital one time. And it was great. Also
in the same movie, that scene where Commissioner Gordon is promoted to commissioner after the Joker is captured and he's in jail. Everybody's clapping for Jim for the promotion. And then you see also Heath Ledger clapping, but in a mocking kind of way. That was also improvised. Heath was just supposed to be kind of staring at him, but in character, it was appropriate because, at the end of the movie, you realize that he's pulling all the strings. And so this is exactly what he wanted. So that was also really good. Heath Ledger, too soon. R.I.P.
Rest in peace.
My number 1, Falling with Style, is a kind of a two-parter. This one takes place in the OG Star Wars, later titled A New Hope. While playing Luke Skywalker, dressed as a stormtrooper, Mark Hamill, he famously improvised the line when he had the helmet on, "I can't see a thing in this helmet." The thing is, that's actually true. You really couldn't see much while wearing the stormtrooper helmet, and he improvised that line knowing that because, you can't see his lips, you can't see his mouth. If George wanted to take it out in the edit, there was no problem. So he just said that he improvised that line. They liked it so much that they kept it in. But that leads to the number one blooper that they used in the film was when the stormtrooper in another scene is coming through one of the doors that's rising up, and because he can't see, he bonks it.
Yeah.
Boom, bonks it as he goes in, and they keep playing it out. George Lucas, I guess they missed that in the edit, and so they just kept going with it. And in later re-releases of Star Wars, in the re-edits, the multiple edits that George Lucas has done, one of the great things he did was highlight that moment by putting like a bonk sound. So if you watch Star Wars now and you see the stormtrooper hit his head, there's now a bonk noise, and that is perfect. It's beautiful.
You know what else is beautiful, Jim?
What else is beautiful?
Both of our number ones are Star Wars.
Oh, really? All right. Yeah.
This was not scripted, folks. Like we did not share with each other what our number ones were going to be. But before I get to my number one, I just wanted to give a couple of honorable mentions. I'm the king of the world. Titanic. That was an improvised line that was kept in. Django Unchained. Mr. Candy. Leonardo DiCaprio's Mr. Candy, when he's in that having a very dramatic speech, he smashes a glass, cuts his hand, is legitimately bleeding, does not break character, continues the scene. It makes it that much more gruesome.
Go Leo.
Go Leo. He deserves so many more Oscars than he currently has, but at least he finally got one.
Yeah.
But my number one unscripted moment of all times is that iconic "I love you, I know" between Harrison Ford's Han Solo and Princess Leia. That was not in the script. It was supposed to be I love you too. But Harrison's like, Han Solo wouldn't say that.
He's too cool for that.
He's too cool. He wouldn't say I love you too. And that's just what came out. That was his unscripted, improvised moment. And it was so Han. And it was so perfect for that scene. And it became one of the most iconic movie lines of all time. So the I love you, I know. That's my number one pick. Well,
last honorable mention, also in Star Wars, you know that scene where on Mustafar, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke and Anakin are fighting in the final scene? Anakin Skywalker, played by Hayden Christensen, was not supposed to catch on fire. He actually caught on fire, and he melted his skin, and then they had...
Shut up.
No.
Oh my God.
He literally, that was not supposed to happen. I don't know why they filmed by a volcano, but that actually happened. He caught on fire.
Wow.
No.
Well, they did great plastic surgery. Right
a lot of CGI. It's great magic. Let us know what your favorite movie blooper is that made the final cut, either on a TV show or in a movie. Comment down below. Again, thank you so much for catching us on the Hub on Hollywood, where you can follow us on all the social media platforms at Hub on Hollywood. Shoot us a message, shoot us a comment, and we'll give you a shout out. Jamie, jam-packed show.
Yeah.
I'm going to end this by continuing the Star Wars train with what we're watching. And what I just started watching is episode 1 of Ahsoka.
Yeah.
We talked before where I felt like I've just been bogged down by Star Wars. I love Star Wars. It's like my favorite movie, especially the original trilogy, among my favorite movies ever. And I like a lot of the new stuff. Andor is great. Boba Fett, Mandalorian's great, last season's, whatever. So there's a lot of, hot and cold, a lot of weird stuff going on. Maybe too much Star Wars content at the moment. And so I wasn't in a big rush to watch Ahsoka. And even so much so where I'm kind of, on the Star Wars subreddit and I'm looking at these spoilers, I'm like, okay, I'm not invested, but I'm not not reading every minute detail, but I'm getting the gist of what's happening in the season. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. I have a couple hours to kill. Let me just watch episode 1, which is an hour long, and I enjoyed it. I think it's so far it's really good. I hear it gets better with each passing episode, and so again, though I still agree they're producing way too much Star Wars right now, I am pleasantly surprised with how good episode 1 is, and I'm looking forward to episode 2.
I'm on the same boat with you.
Yeah.
In that, Star Wars has broken my heart as of late in recent years.
Anakin, you're breaking my heart.
You're breaking my heart. Disney, you're breaking my heart.
Disneykin, you're breaking my heart.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. Disneykin.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep that one.
All right.
I'll save that one for later. But yes, they've been breaking my heart, and so I have also been trepidatious. Right? Not wanting to start something new.
Yeah.
I heard Andor was good.
Really
I heard
good.
A lot of
It
really
is
good
so good.
things about Andor, and I'm like, you know what? I accept that. Let it be good.
Yeah.
I just don't know that I'm ready to dive into something
Which is
new just yet. But it makes me happy that you say that Ahsoka is good. I've heard mixed things about Ahsoka as you get further into the season.
It's not perfect, but so far not bad. Not bad.
All right. But I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful.
Would you say you're a New Hope?
Nah.
We can do this all day.
Don't know about that.
Okay.
Hope. Right? Okay. And finally, what I'm hopeful for is a brand new anime that I am now going to dive into. So I started watching One Piece on Netflix, the live action adaptation, and we talked a little bit about this last episode, but it is absolutely among the best live action anime adaptations that exist, period. Okay, there have been so many train wrecks. Dragon Ball Z,
Cowboy Bebop.
A lot of the other ones have just been so poorly done. And this one is just amazing. It is amazing. And I went into watching One Piece having not read the manga or the anime, watched the anime or read the manga, even though I'm very much into anime and manga. This is not one that I've gotten into because it's shonen. It's shonen. It's made for boys, right? It's made for young boys. There's not romance. I'm all about the shoujo, right? I need the shoujo manga. I need the romance, the demon king who comes in and say, "You're my true love," that kind of stuff. However, One Piece blowing me away.
Nice.
All of the actors so well cast. Every part of it is just, it's fun. There's no CGI garbage. There's as much practical effects, practical makeup, incredible shots, incredible framing done in this film, and it feels so good. It feels so good. So I just watched the finale of One Piece, and I am sold.
Nice.
I am sold. I can see why it was renewed for season 2 like so quickly.
Yeah.
But it makes you fall in love with these characters so quickly. And if you have a certain degree of tolerance for a little bit of nonsense, like the talking snails and you know, that stuff that kind of comes with the territory of this being more of a fantastical story, then you're in for something I feel is really, really special. And I cannot wait to see where it goes from here. I did not expect to like it this much. I really didn't. But I feel like all of the characters, all of the casting, everything I just said, it is really, really, really well done. So if you want something that is special and new and fun and feel good, One Piece on Netflix, that's where it's at. And it only gets better with every episode. And that finale was just, it was great.
Nice.
It was great.
I have to check it out. So on Netflix, like I said earlier, Netflix is on my bad list right now. So I have to watch it soon before I potentially unsubscribe. But lastly, I almost blew by this review of this movie that's also on Netflix. Have you heard about this? NIMONA?
No.
NIMONA. It's based off of a graphic novel, and I just learned about it, but it's been out for maybe 2 or 3 months so far. I watched the guys on YouTube, Corridor Digital. They do like VFX reaction, stuntman, stuntwomen reaction. And they invite people who've worked on these very big movies like Lion King, Mulan, Avatar, like all these big movies. Like they have like the CGI visual effects directors come in and they go through their bodies of work and whatnot. And they recently had the guy who's behind the team of NIMONA, which is, again, this graphic novel. It's about a knight in a futuristic medieval world. He's framed for a crime he did not commit, and the only one who can help him prove his innocence is NIMONA, a mischievous teen who happens to be a shape-shifting creature that he's sworn to destroy. Visually, this is stunning. Like when you think about like Across the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the new one, where it has that unique, really fun animation style that I see more and more studios really leaning into and being more creative and daring. This is among them. And if you're into like really cool, different artistic expressions, this is a movie for you. This is made with like CG, 3D, effects. However, it's made to look flat and animated as if it is a graphic novel. This is a really fun movie. I really enjoyed it. I won't go into any spoilers, but I really do recommend this movie. The main character is this shape-shifting teen named NIMONA, and I love that they basically said this character is based off of Bugs Bunny, Beetlejuice, and just the punk rock vibe. And my wife and I watched it last night, and I was just grinning ear to ear. It's a fun watch. Very funny, and I really love all the hard work that went into making this movie, because it took years. This was delayed over and over and over again. Yeah. So I love that this is on Netflix. It finally is out, and so I really recommend it. It's good for kids and it's good for adults.
We need more feel-good content.
Absolutely.
And I think that we also need more graphic novels, more animes, more comic books. We need new things.
Yes.
Let's hold off on
like
Fast and
experiments.
Furious 15. Let's experiment with new stories, because I think that in the past year, what the movies that have done the best, they have been new ideas. Like the Barbies, like they haven't been the old, tired out, beating the dead horse IPs. So new stories, that's what I would like to see. And watch your content, folks, as quickly as you can before you cancel that Netflix subscription.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us on the Hub on Hollywood in our space right now. We're testing it out, see how it feels. It looks really cool.
I like that.
Yeah, I do like that too. If you can't see this, there are lamps and this is our den. Well, again, thank you so much for following us at Hub on Hollywood on all the social media platforms. Share this episode with your friends or family, and get the word out, because again, we are New England based. We are local here. We want to get actors and filmmakers and local, the local talents noticed and recognized. And so the more you can spread the word, the more we can have that reach. Hopefully get them on the show and talk to them too.
That's right. We've got incredible interviews that we've done already with actors, with filmmakers, with the people who make the movies happen, all of those creatives, whether well-established in A-list movies or up-and-coming, just starting their careers. We want to showcase your work and all of the incredible talent here in New England. So until next week, reach out to us here on the Hub on Hollywood, and until then, I'm Jamie.
I'm James.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.